The art of manifesting multiple desires simultaneously is not merely possible. It is the natural state of your divine being. For you are not limited to manifesting one desire at a time, just as God does not create one thing at a time, but sustains and creates countless realities in every eternal moment. Let me tell you that your consciousness, your wonderful human imagination, is not bound by the limitations of time and space that appear so real to your mortal senses. Your imagination, which is God Himself operating in you, can hold multiple stakes with perfect clarity and bring them all into your physical experience with mathematical precision. Now let us understand this principle deeply. When you enter your room at night, you do not light one corner and wait for it to brighten before lighting another. You simply switch on the light and the entire room is illuminated instantly. This is how your consciousness works with multiple manifestations. You need not complete one before beginning another. They all exist then or do in the wonderful human imagination. I tell you, time is merely a device of your mortal mind. In the realm of consciousness, all things exist simultaneously. When you truly grasp this, you will understand that manifesting multiple desires is no more difficult than manifesting a single desire. For in consciousness, there is no competition, no waiting line, no priority queue. Let me share with you a principle that I have tested countless times. When you desire to manifest multiple things, you must first understand that they all exist now in what I call the fourth dimensional world, the world of consciousness. Your physical world is merely a shadow, a reflection of what you have assumed to be true in consciousness. Consider this when you dream at night. Your dream contains multiple elements, people, places, events, all existing simultaneously. Your consciousness creates and sustains all these elements without effort or strain. This same power operates in your waking state through your wonderful human imagination. Here's a technique I want to share with you tonight. Instead of thinking of your desires as separate entities competing for manifestation, see them as different aspects of your already existing perfect life. Just as a diamond has many facets, yet remains one diamond, your desired state has many aspects, yet remains one state, the state of fulfillment. You must learn to live from the end. See yourself already in possession of all that you desire. Make your multiple desires a single composite state. If you desire financial abundance, perfect health, and harmonious relationships simultaneously, do not separate them in your consciousness. Create a single scene that implies the fulfillment of all these desires. Let me give you an example. Instead of creating separate scenes for each desire, construct one scene where you are discussing with a friend how wonderful your life is, implying the fulfillment of all your desires. In this conversation, you naturally mention your flourishing business, your perfect health, and your harmonious relationships as already existing facts. This single scene, when entered into with feeling and conviction, will set in motion all that is necessary for the manifestation of your multiple desires. Remember, my dear friends, the outside world is dead. It has no power to create or to prevent. It is purely a shadow world reflecting what you have assumed to be true in consciousness. Therefore, do not be concerned with the how or the when of your manifestations. Your only responsibility is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled for all your desires. Now, here is a vital point that many miss. When manifesting multiple desires, you must not strain or effort. Strain implies that what you want is absent, distant, or difficult to achieve. Instead, relax into the assumption that all your desires are already fulfilled. Feel the naturalness of having all that you desire. I want you to understand this deeply. The feeling is the secret. The feeling of naturalness is the key to manifesting multiple desires simultaneously. When something is natural to you, it requires no effort to maintain. You don't wake up each morning wondering if gravity will work today. Its operation is natural to you. This is how your fulfilled desires should feel: natural, normal, and already yours. Let me tell you a principle that has never failed. Before you sleep tonight, review your day as though all your desires are already fulfilled. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the completeness of having all that you desire. Make this feeling so real that as you drift into sleep, your physical world seems like a shadow and your imagined state feels more real. You see, my dear friends, manifesting multiple desires simultaneously is not about working harder or doing more. It's about understanding the true nature of consciousness and its relationship to your physical world. Your consciousness is the only reality. All else is derived from it. When you truly grasp this, you will understand that there is no limit to what you can manifest simultaneously. Just as a mirror reflects everything placed before it without strain or selection, your physical world must reflect whatever state you have assumed in consciousness. Now let me share with you another profound truth. Your multiple desires, though they may seem separate in the physical world, are united in consciousness by a single feeling, the feeling of fulfillment. This is why I emphasize feeling rather than visualization. The feeling of fulfillment, when achieved, automatically brings with it all that is necessary for its expression in your physical world. Remember, my dear friends, revision is a powerful tool when manifesting multiple desires. If during your day events seem to contradict your desired state, revise them immediately in your imagination. See them conforming perfectly to your desires. This is not denial. This is the proper use of the law. You must persist in this practice until your desired state becomes your dominant feeling. Just as a musician must practice until the piece becomes second nature, you must persist in your assumption until it becomes your natural state of being. Let me tell you something that many find hard to accept. Time is not a factor in the fulfillment of your desire. What appears to take time in the physical world is merely the unfolding of what has already been accomplished in consciousness. Therefore, when manifesting multiple desires, do not think in terms of time or sequence. Your wonderful human imagination knows no limitations. It can handle multiple desires with the same ease as it handles one. Just as your eyes can perceive multiple objects simultaneously without strain, your consciousness can hold multiple fulfilled desires without effort. Here is a practical application before you sleep tonight. Set up the scene that implies the fulfillment of all your desires. Make it a short, simple scene. Perhaps you are sharing with a friend how everything in your life has fallen perfectly into place. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the completeness of this state. Fall asleep in this feeling. Remember, my dear friends, your consciousness is God operating in you as you. Therefore, it has the power to fulfill all your desires simultaneously. There is no need for prioritization or scheduling in consciousness. All is no-do. When doubts arise, and they will arise, for that is the nature of the mortal mind, remember this truth. Your physical senses show you only shadows of past assumptions. Your true power lies in your ability to assume a new state now and now, regardless of what your senses dictate. Let me share with you another principle. Your multiple desires are not separate entities requiring separate efforts. They are different aspects of your expanded consciousness. When you truly understand this, you will see that manifesting multiple desires is as natural as breathing. Consider this. When you breathe, you don't consciously coordinate the multiple processes involved. Your body knows exactly what to do. Similarly, when you assume the feeling of your wishes fulfilled, the infinite intelligence within you knows exactly how to bring about their manifestation. Now here is a vital point about manifesting multiple desires. Do not concern yourself with the bridge of incidents, the series of events that will lead to your manifestation. Your only responsibility is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The infinite intelligence within you will arrange all the necessary details. Remember, my dear friends, your physical world is merely your servant faithfully reflecting your consciousness assumptions. Therefore, maintain your assumption of fulfillment regardless of appearances. The physical world has no choice but to conform to your conscious assumptions. Let me emphasize this point. When manifesting multiple desires, do not make the mistake of trying to figure out how they will all come about. This is not your responsibility. Your only responsibility is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Here is another practical application. Throughout your day, whenever you think of any of your desires, See them as already fulfilled. Make this your habitual attitude. Let the feeling of fulfillment be your constant companion. Remember, my dear friends, you are not trying to make something happen. You are assuming that it has already happened. This is the crucial difference that many fail to grasp. You are not working towards something, you are living from the end. By manifesting multiple desires, maintain this attitude. Isn't it wonderful that everything is working out perfectly in my life? This simple attitude, maintained with feeling, will do more for your manifestation than all the planning and striving in the world. Let me tell you something about the nature of manifestation. Everything in your physical world is a manifestation of consciousness. Therefore, when you change your consciousness, everything in your world must change to conform to your new assumption. This is why, my dear friends, I emphasize the importance of living from the end. When you live from the end, you are not trying to make things happen. You are simply allowing what is already complete in consciousness to unfold in your physical experience. Remember this principle: your consciousness is the only reality. Everything else, everything you see, hear, touch, taste, and smell is a shadow of your conscious assumptions. Therefore, when manifesting multiple desires, focus on maintaining the consciousness of fulfillment. Here is another practical point. Do not discuss your desires or your practice of this law with those who would doubt or discourage you. Your manifestations are sacred, should be kept within the sanctuary of your own consciousness until they appear in your physical world. Let me share with you another truth about manifesting multiple desires. The feeling of fulfillment is your compass. If you are properly assuming the feeling of your wishes fulfilled, you will experience a deep sense of satisfaction and peace, regardless of external circumstances. Remember, my dear friends, the law is simple but exact. It works with mathematical precision. Whatever you assume is true in consciousness must be expressed in your physical world. This is why you can manifest multiple desires simultaneously, because in consciousness all is possible in our law. Your physical senses may argue against this truth. They may show you evidence that seems to contradict your desires, but remember, your senses only show you the effects of past assumptions. Your power lies in your ability to assume a new state now. Let me give you another practical application. When you lie down to sleep tonight, feel as though you are lying down in the state of your wishes fulfilled. Consider the satisfaction, the completeness, the joy of having all that you desire. This feeling, impressed upon your subconscious mind during sleep, will work wonders. Remember this vital point. Your subconscious mind does not argue. It simply accepts what you feel to be true and works faithfully to express it in your physical world. Therefore, when manifesting multiple desires, focus on impressing upon your subconscious mind the feeling of complete fulfillment. Let me share with you another vital aspect of this law. When you dream at night, do you find your dream limited to one scene, one desire, or one experience? No, your dream consciousness effortlessly creates entire worlds, complete with multiple characters, scenarios, and experiences, all happening simultaneously. This is the same power that you possess in your waking state through your wonderful human imagination. I tell you with complete conviction that your consciousness is like an infinite ocean, capable of holding countless drops of desires without becoming full or strained. Just as the ocean doesn't struggle to contain its many waves, your consciousness doesn't struggle to hold multiple manifestations. Now, let me share with you a deeper principle that many overlook. When you truly understand that all of time exists, now you will realize that there is no such thing as sequence in consciousness. Your tomorrow, your next year, your perfect life. They all exist now in the eternal moment of consciousness. Consider this when you enter a movie theater. The entire film exists on the reel, though you experience it scene by scene. Similarly, all your desires exist, and all in consciousness, though they may appear to manifest sequentially in your physical experience. This is why I tell you that manifesting multiple desires simultaneously is not only possible, but natural. Here is another profound truth. Your consciousness is not divided into compartments. It doesn't maintain separate folders for your different desires. All your desires exist in a unified state of fulfillment in consciousness. This is why focusing on the feeling of complete fulfillment naturally brings about the manifestation of all your desires. Let me give you a deeper understanding of this principle. When you say I am, you are expressing the fullness of your being. This I am consciousness contains within it all that you could ever desire. Therefore, when manifesting multiple desires, focus on the feeling of I am, the feeling of being the person who has all these desires fulfilled. Remember, my dear friends, the physical world is merely a shadow, a reflection of your conscious assumptions. Just as a shadow cannot choose what to reflect, your physical world cannot choose which of your assumptions to manifest. It must reflect all of them faithfully. Here is another practical application of this law. Throughout your day, whenever you think of your desires, do not see them as separate goals to be achieved. See them as different aspects of your already perfect life. Feel the wholeness, the completeness of being the person who has all these desires fulfilled. Let me share with you a deeper truth about the nature of consciousness. Your consciousness is not bound by the limitations of physical space. Just as a single seed contains within it the pattern for an entire forest, your consciousness contains within it all possible states of fulfillment. When you truly grasp this principle, you will understand that manifesting multiple desires simultaneously is not about dividing your attention or energy. It's about expanding your consciousness to embrace the fullness of your desired state. Consider this: when you look at a beautiful garden, you don't see each flower separately. You experience the beauty of the whole garden as one unified experience. This is how you should hold your multiple desires in consciousness, as one unified state of fulfillment. Let me tell you something about the nature of assumption. When you assume a state, you are not creating something new. You are simply choosing to experience what already exists in consciousness. Therefore, when manifesting multiple desires, you are simply choosing to experience the state where all these desires are already fulfilled. Remember this crucial point. Your physical senses may tell you that your desires are separate, that they must be achieved one at a time. But I tell you, this is merely the illusion of time and space. In consciousness, all is one, all is now. Here is another practical application. When you lie down to sleep tonight, instead of reviewing your desires as separate items on a list, feel the completeness of being the person who has all these desires fulfilled. Feel the naturalness, the ease, the grace of living in the state. Let me share with you another profound truth about manifestation. The feeling of fulfillment is not divided. You don't feel partially fulfilled or fulfilled in stages. When you truly capture the feeling of the wish fulfilled, is a complete whole feeling that encompasses all your desires. Consider this. When you are truly happy, you don't analyze the different aspects of your happiness. You simply feel happy as a complete state of being. This is how you should approach manifesting multiple desires as one complete state of fulfillment. Remember, my dear friends, the law operates with perfect precision. It doesn't distinguish between big desires and small desires, between one desire and many desires. It simply responds to your conscious assumptions with mathematical precision. Let me emphasize this point. Your consciousness is the only reality. Everything else, every circumstance, every condition, every event in your physical world is simply consciousness made visible. Therefore, when you change your consciousness to one of complete fulfillment, your entire world must change to reflect this new assumption. Here is another vital truth. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is your most precious gift. It is the feeling that sets in motion all that is necessary for the manifestation of your desires. Therefore, nurture this feeling, protect it, maintain it, regardless of appearances. Remember, my dear friends, you are not trying to make something happen in the future. You are choosing to experience what already exists in consciousness. This is why manifesting multiple desires simultaneously is not about effort or struggle. It's about choosing to experience the state where all your desires are already fulfilled. Let me share with you another principle. The state of fulfillment is not a distant goal to be achieved. It is a present choice to be made. Right now, in this eternal moment, you can choose to experience the state where all your desires are fulfilled. Consider this when you dream at night. You don't create the dream piece by piece. The entire dream experience appears fully formed in your consciousness. This is how manifestation works. The entire state of fulfillment exists now in consciousness, waiting for you to step into it. Remember this truth: your physical world has no choice but to reflect your conscious assumptions. Therefore, when you assume the state of complete fulfillment, all circumstances, all conditions, all events must rearrange themselves to reflect this assumption. For this is the law, my dear friends. It is exact, it is precise, and it never fails. Test it in your own experience. Prove its truth through application. For in the end, it is not what you believe about the law that matters. It is what you prove through experience. And so I tell you again, go forth and apply this law. Live from the state of complete fulfillment. Maintain the feeling of the wish fulfilled regardless of appearances. For as surely as night follows day, your physical world must conform to your conscious assumptions. For this is the promise and the law: as within, so without. As above, so below. What you assume in consciousness must manifest in your physical experience. This is the way, this is the truth, and this is the light. Remember, my dear friends, you are the upper in power. You are the consciousness in which all things exist. Therefore, choose wisely, assume lovingly, and live constantly in the state of your wishes fulfilled. For this is the secret of manifesting multiple desires simultaneously. To live from the end, to live in the state of complete fulfillment nano-day. And in this eternal now, all things are possible, all desires are fulfilled, and all manifestation is complete. This is the truth I share with you tonight. This is the law that never fails. This is the promise that is always kept. In closing, my dear friends, remember that you are the upper and power in your world. Your consciousness is the only reality. Your physical world is simply responding to what you have assumed to be true. Therefore, assume wisely, assume lovingly, and above all, assume the feeling of your wishes fulfilled. I want to share with you the most profound secret of manifestation. A secret so powerful that once understood will revolutionize your entire approach to life. Many of you come to me asking why your manifestations are delayed, why your desires seem to take so long to materialize in your world. Tonight I shall reveal to you why, and more importantly, how to manifest your desires with lightning speed. Let me begin by sharing a principle that most of the world has completely misunderstood. In the book of John, it is written, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." Now, what is this Word? This Word, my dear wonderful friends, is not something spoken by your physical lips. The Word is your inner conversation, your mental dialogue that runs ceaselessly through your mind day and night. You see, most people are manifesting slowly or not at all because they fail to grasp this fundamental truth. Your inner conversation is the cause of everything in your world, everything. Not some things, not most things, but all things. When you truly understand this, you will begin to manifest with such rapidity that others will call it miraculous. Let me share with you a story that came to me just last week. A lady approached me after one of my lectures, her eyes filled with tears. She had been trying to manifest a reunion with her estranged son for 3 years. She had tried everything: affirmations, visualization, even traveling across the country to see him, but he refused to meet her. After attending my lectures and understanding this principle of inner conversation, she realized that her constant inner dialogue was, "Why won't my son talk to me? What did I do wrong? Will he ever forgive me?" Do you see what she was doing? She was perpetuating the very state of separation through her inner conversation. I instructed her to change her inner dialogue to how wonderful it is to talk to my son every day. How lovely it is to hear his voice filled with love for me. Within 1 week, yes, just 1 week, her son called her. Not only did he call, but he apologized for his behavior and expressed his desire to rebuild their relationship. This, my dear friends, is the secret that accelerates manifestation. Your inner conversation must match the state you wish to occupy. There must be no contradiction between what you desire and what you internally hear yourself saying about that desire. Now let me take it deeper into this mystery. In the book of Matthew, it is written, "For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." Your treasure is not your desire. Your treasure is your inner conversation about your desire. If you claim to want financial abundance, but your inner dialogue is constantly repeating, "I never have enough money, everything is so expensive, I can't afford this," then that conversation is your real treasure. And that is exactly what you will manifest. The speed of manifestation is directly proportional to the consistency of your inner conversation. When you maintain an inner dialogue that aligns perfectly with your desire, without contradiction, without doubt, without wavering, manifestation must follow as naturally as day follows night. Some of you might be thinking, "But Wayne, I try to maintain positive thoughts, yet my inner conversation seems to have a mind of its own." Here is where most seekers stumble. They try to force their inner conversation to control it through willpower. This is not the way. The secret lies in understanding that your inner conversation is not something to be forced, but something to be assumed. When you truly assume a state, the inner conversation appropriate to that state flows naturally. If you are wealthy, truly wealthy in consciousness, you don't need to force yourself to think wealthy thoughts. The inner dialogue of wealth flows spontaneously because it is natural to the state you have assumed. Let me make this practical for you. Tonight, when you go to sleep, I want you to do something revolutionary. Instead of trying to visualize your desire or repeating affirmations, I want you to simply listen to your inner conversation. Don't try to change it yet. Just listen, become aware of what you are internally saying about yourself, your light desires, your relationships, your finances. This awareness is crucial because what you will discover is that your current inner conversation is a perfect match for your current life circumstances. Every detail of your life right now is a manifestation of your habitual inner dialogue. This is why some people can visualize for hours, affirm until they're blue in the face, yet see no results. Their inner conversation is contradicting everything they're trying to manifest. The secret to rapid manifestation lies in this understanding. Change the inner conversation and you change the outer world, and this is crucial. You must change it naturally by assuming the state of your wish fulfilled. When you assume the state, the appropriate inner dialogue flows without effort. Here's a profound truth that few understand. Your inner conversation is not just about the specific words you say to yourself. It's about the feeling tone behind those words. When you assume the state, the feeling of that state gives birth to natural, effortless inner talking that matches the state. Consider a woman who wants to be married. She might repeat affirmations like, "I am happily married 1,000 times." But if her inner conversation throughout the day is filled with loneliness, questioning when love will come, or expressing doubt about finding the right person, those are the conditions she's actually manifesting. But when she assumes the state of the happily married woman, her inner conversation naturally includes remarks like, "My husband always does the sweetest things. I love cooking our favorite meals together." These conversations flow effortlessly because they are natural to the state she has assumed. This brings me to another crucial point about rapid manifestation. In the book of Revelation, it is written, "I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end." This is not speaking of some external deity. This is speaking of your consciousness, your I am. Your inner conversation is how you use this creative power of I am. Every time you engage in inner dialogue, you are defining who I am is. When you say internally, "I am struggling, I am trying to manifest, I am waiting for my desire," you are creating those very conditions. The secret to rapid manifestation is to engage in the inner conversation of the state fulfilled, not the state desired. Let me give you a warning here. Many of you will be tempted to monitor your inner conversation constantly, trying to catch every negative thought. This is not what I'm advocating. Such an approach creates tension and resistance, which only slows down manifestation. Instead, simply assume the state of your wish fulfilled and let the natural inner conversation of that state flow. Now, let me share with you something even more profound about this secret. In the book of Job, it is written, "For what I feared has come upon me. What I dreaded has happened to me." This is not just ancient wisdom. This is a precise description of how your inner conversation creates your reality. Your fears, your worries, the things you dread, these are not merely passive thoughts. They are powerful inner conversations that manifest with the same certainty as your desire. This is why I tell you that no one worry you. When others speak of recession, of difficult times, of impossibilities, you must understand that their conversations have no power in your world unless you accept them into your inner dialogue. The only creative power is your own inner conversation. I recall a gentleman who attended my lectures in New York. He was a businessman who had heard countless experts predicting a downturn in his industry. Everyone was preparing for failure, cutting costs, laying off workers. But this gentleman understood the secret of inner conversation. While others spoke of decline, his inner dialogue remained steadfast. My business is thriving. My customers are abundant, but opportunities are flowing to me from every direction. His colleagues called him delusional, unrealistic. Yet within 3 months, while other businesses struggled, his company experienced its most profitable quarter ever. Was this a coincidence? No, my dear friends. It was the law in operation. His inner conversation created a state of consciousness that had to objectify itself in his world. Here is another secret that will accelerate your manifestations. Your inner conversation must not only match your desire, it must transcend time. Notice how most people's inner dialogue is always about the future. I will be successful. I will find love. Things will get better. This very conversation pushes their desires perpetually into the future. The secret is to have an inner conversation that speaks from the in, as though your desire is already fulfilled. In the book of Isaiah it states, "Before they call, I will answer." This is not about some external God answering prayers. This is about the law of consciousness. Your inner conversation of the wish fulfilled is the answer, and it precedes the physical manifestation. Let me be very specific about this. If you desire financial abundance, your inner conversation should not be, "Money is coming to me," or "I am attracting wealth." These conversations, though seemingly positive, still speak from a place of lack. Instead, your inner dialogue should be that of a wealthy person. I love how easily money flows in my life. It's wonderful having more than enough to share. I enjoy choosing the best of everything. Some of you might argue, "But Wayne, isn't this denying reality? Isn't this lying to ourselves?" Let me address this once and for all. What you call reality is simply the outer picturing of past inner conversations. Your current circumstances, which seem so solid and real, are nothing more than yesterday's inner talking made visible. In the book of Hebrews, it is written, "Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God. So the things which are seen were not made of things which do appear." Replace word of God with inner conversation, and you have the exact law I'm revealing to you tonight. The things which are seen, your current circumstances, were created by the invisible power of your inner dialogue. Let me share another experience that demonstrates this principle perfectly. A young teacher came to me in despair. She had been assigned the most challenging class in her school, students known for being disruptive and unmanageable. Her inner conversation was filled with dread. "These students won't listen. She will be a nightmare. I can't handle this class." I explained to her the secret of inner conversation. She began to change her internal dialogue too. "My students are engaged and eager to learn. I love how respectful and cooperative my class is. Teaching this class brings me joy every day." She maintained this new inner conversation faithfully, even when external circumstances seemed to contradict it. Within 2 weeks, she noticed subtle changes. Students who had never participated began raising their hands. Disruptions became less frequent. By the end of the month, Her class had transformed so dramatically that other teachers came to observe what they called her teaching magic. But it wasn't magic. It was the law of inner conversation in action. Now, here's another crucial aspect of this secret that few understand. Your inner conversation is not limited to your own life circumstances. When you engage in inner dialogue about others, you are influencing how they appear in your world. This is why the Bible instructs us to love our enemies and bless those who curse us. These are not moral instructions. They are practical metaphysical law. If someone in your world appears hostile or unpleasant, check your inner conversation about them. Are you internally rehearsing their faults? Are you mentally arguing with them? Are you replaying negative interactions? This inner dialogue is creating and sustaining their behavior in your experience. Change your inner conversation about them, and you change their behavior toward you. This is not manipulation. This is the correct use of the law. Someone in your world is yourself pushed out. Their behavior toward you is simply the manifestation of your inner conversation about them. I had a lady write to me about a difficult mother-in-law. For years, their relationship had been strained, filled with criticism and tension. Every time she thought about her mother-in-law, her inner dialogue was, "She's always judging me. She doesn't accept me. She makes my life miserable." I instructed her to change this inner conversation too. "My mother-in-law is so loving and supportive. We enjoy such wonderful times together." She practiced this faithfully, even though her external circumstances showed no immediate change. But within a month, her mother-in-law's attitude began to shift. Small gestures of kindness appeared. Criticism turned to compliments. Today, they share a loving relationship that amazes the entire family. This transformation wasn't about changing her mother-in-law. It was about changing her inner conversation about her mother-in-law. Now, let me reveal to you an even deeper aspect of this secret that will accelerate your manifestations beyond anything you've previously experienced. In the book of Ecclesiastes, it is written, "To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven." Many interpret this literally, thinking they must wait for the right time for their manifestations. But I tell you truly, time is a creation of your inner conversation. When your inner dialogue constantly speaks of waiting, of process, of gradual improvement, you create time between you and your desire. This is why so many remain stuck in the state of becoming rather than being. Their inner conversation is always about the journey, never the arrival. They say, "I'm getting better. I'm working towards my goal. I'm making progress." While these seem positive, they are actually creating perpetual delay. Let me share with you a profound truth. In imagination, where all creation takes place, there is no time. This is why the Bible speaks of God as the eternal I am, not the I will be. Your inner conversation must reflect this timeless nature of consciousness. Instead of saying internally, "My business is growing," say, "I am perfectly healthy now." A gentleman once approached me after experiencing years of financial struggle. His inner conversation was filled with statements like, "Things are getting better. I'm moving towards prosperity. My debts are gradually decreasing." I explained to him that this very conversation was creating the experience of gradual change, of endless becoming. He shifted his inner dialogue to speak from the end. "I love having more than enough." The results were immediate and startling. Within days, unexpected opportunities appeared. A long-forgotten investment suddenly paid off. A new business partnership emerged that transformed his financial situation completely. What others called coincidence, we know as law. Here's another crucial aspect of this secret. Your inner conversation must be anchored in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Many attempt to change their inner dialogue mechanically, repeating new statements without the corresponding feeling tone. This is why their manifestations are slow and non-existent. In the book of Psalms, it says, "Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart." This delight is the feeling tone that must accompany your inner conversation. When your internal dialogue naturally flows from the joy of having your desire fulfilled, manifestation is instantaneous. Consider a woman who desires marriage. Her inner conversation might be technically positive. I am married to a wonderful man. But if these words lack the feeling of being happily married, they remain hollow and powerless. When she assumes the feeling of being a beloved wife, her inner dialogue naturally flows with statements like, I love cooking dinner with my husband. Our evening walks together are so precious. I'm so blessed to share my life with my soulmate. These words carry the feeling tone of the wish fulfilled. Let me share something even more profound about this secret. Your inner conversation extends beyond your waking hours. The thoughts and dialogues that occupy your mind as you fall asleep are particularly powerful. This is why the Psalms instruct us to commune with your own heart upon your bed and be still. Most people fall asleep rehearsing the problems of their day or worrying about tomorrow. Their inner conversation during these crucial moments is creating more of what they don't want. Instead, as you fall asleep, let your inner dialogue be from the state of your wish fulfilled. Let it be natural, easy, reflecting the joy of already having what you desire. I recall a man who had been seeking a specific position in his company for years. Every night he would fall asleep thinking about how to get the promotion, what he needed to do, who he needed to impress. His inner conversation was always about seeking, never about having. I instructed him to change his preparatory sleep conversation. Instead of planning and strategizing, he was to fall asleep each night with the inner dialogue of already being in that position. His new inner conversation included casual remarks like, it's wonderful having this responsibility. I love leading this department. My team is exceptional. Within 2 weeks, not only was he promoted to the position he desired, but he was given even more responsibility and compensation than he had imagined possible. Now, let me address something that many of you struggle with, the appearance of failure or delay in your manifestations. When things seem to be going wrong, when circumstances appear to contradict your desire, your inner conversation becomes crucial. Most people allow the internal dialogue to be dictated by circumstances. This is the exact opposite of how the law works. In the book of Romans, it is written, call those things which be not as though they were. This is not positive thinking. This is the revelation of how consciousness creates reality. Your inner conversation must call forth the reality you desire, regardless of appearances. Lady who was manifesting perfect health while dealing with a chronic condition, instead of allowing her inner dialogue to focus on symptoms or medical reports, she maintained a conversation of perfect health. My body is strong and vital. Every cell in my body is functioning perfectly. I am the picture of health. Her doctors were amazed when her condition completely reversed, defying their prognosis. This brings me to another vital aspect of rapid manifestation. Your inner conversation must be protected from the doubts and negativity of others. When others speak of impossibilities, when they point to reality or facts, you must maintain your inner conversation is so vital. In the book of Proverbs, it states, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Your heart, your consciousness, is your inner conversation. When you allow external voices to influence your internal dialogue, you give away your creative power. I remember a remarkable case of a young artist who came to me in despair. Gallery owners had rejected her work, critics had dismissed her talent, and her family insisted she find a real job. But she understood this secret. Instead of allowing their voices to become her inner conversation, she maintained an internal dialogue of success. My art touches people deeply. Collectors value my work. My exhibitions are always successful. She told me later that maintaining this inner conversation felt like standing firm in a storm of contrary opinions. But she persisted. Within months, a prestigious gallery owner discovered her work. Today, her paintings command significant prices, and critics who once dismissed her now praise her unique vision. What changed? Not her talent. That was always there. What changed was her inner conversation. Here's another crucial aspect of this secret that few understand. Your inner conversation must be faithful to your assumption. If you assume the state of wealth, but your internal dialogue still speaks of budgeting, saving, and financial caution, you are being unfaithful to your assumption. This divided inner conversation creates delayed and mixed manifestations. In the book of James, it says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. This double-mindedness is not about having doubts. It's about maintaining contradictory inner conversations. You cannot speak internally as both the wealthy and the wanting, the healthy and the sick, the loved and the lonely. You must choose your state and let your inner conversation be faithful to it completely. Consider this profound truth. Every moment of your day is an opportunity to align your inner conversation with your desired state. When you shop, does your internal dialogue speak of prices and affordability, or does it naturally discuss preferences and choices? When you dine out, does your inner conversation concern itself with the cost of the menu, or does it focus on the pleasure of the experience? These seemingly small moments of inner dialogue are actually crucial turning points in your manifestation. Every internal word either aligns with your desire or contradicts it. There is no neutral inner conversation. Let me share one final secret about rapid manifestation that will transform your understanding completely. Your inner conversation is not just about words. It's about the consciousness from which those words spring. When you truly assume a state, the inner conversation appropriate to that state flows naturally, without effort or practice. This is why attempting to monitor and control every thought is unnecessary and counterproductive. Instead, occupy the state of your wish fulfilled, and the right inner conversation will flow spontaneously. This is what the Bible means when it says, "Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus." It's speaking of assuming the state of your wish fulfilled, from which all appropriate thoughts and internal dialogues naturally flow. I knew a man who struggled with relationships. He tried to change his inner conversation about love and partnership, but it felt forced and unnatural. Then he understood this principle. Instead of trying to change his thoughts, he assumed the state of being happily married. From this state, his inner conversation naturally shifted. He no longer had to remind himself to think positive thoughts about relationships. The internal dialogue of a happily married man flowed effortlessly from his assumed state. Within months, he met and married a wonderful woman. But here's the crucial point. The meeting and marriage weren't the miracle. The natural shift in his inner conversation was the miracle. The external circumstances simply conformed to his new state of consciousness. Now, as we conclude tonight's discussion, I want to impress upon you this final truth. Internal dialogue is defining your self-concept, and your self-concept determines what you manifest in your world. When you understand this, truly understand it, you will never again worry about circumstances, conditions, or the opinions of others. You will know that your inner conversation is the only creative power, and you will use it wisely and deliberately. Tonight, as you leave here, I urge you to begin this practice immediately. Don't wait for a perfect moment. Don't prepare yourself. Simply begin now to listen to your inner conversation, and then naturally let it flow from the state of your wish fulfilled. Let your internal dialogue be that of the person who already has what you desire. Remember, a secret I've shared with you tonight is not new. It's as old as consciousness itself, but its power is as fresh and available now as it has ever been. Your inner conversation is creating your reality at this very moment. Use it wisely, use it lovingly, use it deliberately. For in the end, there is no one to change but self, and self is changed by the transformation of your inner conversation. The world around you, which appears so solid and real, is nothing more than your inner conversation made visible. Change the conversation and you change everything. And now, knowing this secret, go forth and prove it in the laboratory of your own life, for as it is written, according to your faith be it unto you. Your faith is your inner conversation, and it will not fail you. That is the law, and that is the promise.